Hi, Satnam. It's me, Shakti Sundari, and I'm back with you today with another little reading from Daniel Oj's masterpiece, Desire, the Tantric Path to Awakening, and my own little part of commentary upon that. Today's video message is entitled Lay Siege to Reality. I thought that might capture your interest. It's also a quote from something I'm going to read in a minute from chapter 9 of this book, The Heart of Reality. So amazing. So I'm going to summarize in a nutshell what I'm going to read to you in a minute, because the words are so articulate and so full of truth, and I get that they're also sort of quite intellectual, so it might help to summarize it a bit. So in essence, Daniel Oj poses this question, which we can all ask ourselves, which I want to ask myself, which I ask myself continuously. You know, we can do all this practice, as I do, as you probably do. We can read all these books, as I do. I'm actually sitting in my office today, and I've got books all behind me. You can't see them. And in front of me, I love books. I love wisdom. I love knowledge. I'm a student. You know, I've studied for a master's degree and a PhD and all of that. So I love books. I love wisdom. And I love my practices. I love the embodiment of it all. But you know what? Do you ever have that feeling that you're reading so much and doing all these workshops and doing all these practices, but nothing's really changing? Or perhaps do you know people on the New Age spiritual circuit who've done so much work on themselves, and you know they've been in deep meditation for years and gone on retreat and done Vipassana that and Vipassana. Well, it could be Vipassana, I suppose. Who've done all this stuff and don't really seem to change, don't really seem to be doing anything differently. And like, you have to ask yourself, what's the point if nothing's different? I wonder. You know, I do have a dear friend who says, well, just think what you'd be without the practices and without the workshops. You know, maybe it would be different, worse. That's kind of a judgment statement, but still, like, yeah. So do we feel like the way that we're living actually makes us happier and healthier and more productive, more effective, more harmonious? Do we really see a change in our relationships with others and with ourselves, of course? Are we really embodying love and truth more? Or is it just something that we're doing, but not really changing? Well, if I understand it correctly, Daniel Oj's answer to that is, that's because you're not doing what you're doing with totality. And, and it's as simple as bringing your awareness to everything that you're doing in every moment of life. So that's basically it. That's the answer. I've given you the answer now. But I'm going to read to you because it is so profound. So here we go. I'm going to hold my book over here, actually. Black glasses today. Tell me if you prefer the black or the red. I've got two pairs the same colour. We often succeed, and I've done this with a certain artistry, so he identifies himself as doing that too, right? In following a spiritual path, without this path transforming our daily reality. So he goes on to give examples. We adhere, we become a Buddhist, a Tantrika, a Vedantin, a Sufi, whatsoever. So we read passionately, we take in a new philosophy, we devote some time each day to meditation, we set up a little altar. Yes, I've got all of this, with a little image of Shiva or Shakti. We burn flowers, we burn incense and offer flowers. I do that too. All without undergoing any radical transformation of our ordinary life. So what's going on here? This duality, I have to just divert and just say, I had a boyfriend once who was an Osho sannyas, and he would go on silent retreat for months every year, and he'd been doing this for years. And I did sort of have to ask myself at a certain point, like, what the point of it was, because I wasn't really witnessing a growth in spirit or truth or love. Maybe that sounds really judgmental, but anyway, there we go. This duality comes from the fact that we are pursuing a spiritual fantasy, however refined it may be, without engaging ourselves totally being the operative word, in the quest. We are surprised then that our reactions are the same, that our actions reveal not a trace of our meditation. I'm laughing at myself as well as all of us, that our vows, the precepts we observe, are simple safety nets incapable of transforming us. So he calls this our little island of devotion to which we escape from time to time. Haha, so the Kashmiri masters, the tantric masters who taught this ancient tantric pathway, understood this well, and he calls this absence to reality in the spiritual quest. And I have to identify with that. You know, I am very immersed in the everyday. I'm a mum, got 2 kids, I'm a single mum. It's a busy life. I can't escape. Sometimes I would love to escape to a little, you know, mountaintop. Well, actually, I prefer a beach, to be honest, to a mountaintop any day. But to sit and meditate and do yoga and do my ecstatic dance and my tantric practice without having to do the washing, cooking, cleaning, ironing, shopping and pay the bills and all that, yeah, that would be bliss. Or I think it would be anyway. It's a little spiritual fantasy I have. But I am immersed in the everyday because I have to be. But I can certainly understand the temptation of wanting to escape. And still, I do find my ways of escaping, right? So, how did the masters get around this? Well, they denominate, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, as their domain, this is now a quotation, as their domain of practice, the whole of day-to-day reality within society, without either renouncing or separating themselves from anything whatsoever, but instead allowing consciousness to emerge in each act of life. There's the challenge. So Danielle talks about his tantric initiator, Lalita Devi. And according to her, and I love this part, the entire domain of reality had to be laid siege to, and here's the quote, by allowing consciousness to engulf it. So she notices every instant, and she asks him to notice every instance of his absence from the world. That doesn't mean physical absence, okay? It doesn't mean he goes out and closes the door and sits in a cave. It means he's not present to this moment with his awareness. He's off daydreaming about something. He's not feeling and sensing what's going on in his body in that moment. He calls this every abrupt or unrefined movement or action, every automatism. He uses that word a lot, automatism. So when you go on autopilot, you're not present. So her teaching, she was an enlightened tantrika, was centered upon an easeful but continual presence to the world. And that is it. That is the practice. That is the practice. So a person who aspires to spirituality is a person who allows all actions, all movements that connect her to the world or him to circulate freely and unendingly, as much on the interior level of sensations, emotions, and thoughts as on the level of action. Devi would say a single instant of total presence was worth the reading of all the texts, all the poets, all the philosophers. So, as he says, he was frustrated because he'd spent years meditating and doing Vipassana and reading all these sacred texts, okay? And he thought she was there to liberate him, but no, there was no ritual other than to breathe, walk, bathe, look at the earth, the trees, the leaves, common objects, to enter deeply into contact with life, reality. And here's one more parting quote from her. Adhere deeply to reality with the heart of your being. There is nothing else to look for, she would say. There is nothing else to look for. That's our practice. That's my practice. I'm really taking that into my heart. It's like lay siege to reality with consciousness, which means bring your full awareness to every moment, every touch, like all the 5 senses. I can't say them quickly. I get tongue-tied. Touch, taste, sound, smell. I miss something, right? And the sort of the same thing is adhere deeply to reality with the heart of your being. There's nothing else to look for. No need to do all of this. Whatever we do, simply adhere deeply to reality with your heart. Wow, that is so powerful in itself. Isn't that a revelation? Or if it's not a revelation, a beautiful reminder. Because how can life ever be boring? How can life ever be dull? How can we ever think we're not doing enough when by simply being present, we're awakening? You know, wow. And that's something that's within everybody's reach. You know, we don't need to go and buy a yoga mat to do that. We don't need to go and buy an expensive tantric manual to do that. All it requires is our presence right now in this moment. That's it. That's my message for today. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. Please share if you like this, and please check out my course, Awakening Your Ecstatic Potential. It's an online course in 3 parts to do just that. Have a look on my website, www.shaktisundari.com. Much love and Satnam, which means truth is my name. See you again tomorrow. Satnam.